finished the investiture of Obote as the Chancellor of Makerere University, then went to Nairobi for the investiture of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta as the Chancellor of the University of Nairobi. And he was very emotional. And he remarked, we have killed East Africa. And the East African Standard ridiculed him. But Mwalimu was correct. But by dismantling the University of East Africa in 1970, we killed East Africa. You see, I studied European Union law in Freie Universität Berlin. Das ist, wo ich habe promoviert. Who would sign protocols, who would sign treaties. But a community, a sustainable community, is made by humans, and especially the young people. And the place, the hubbing of these young East Africans was the universities. Because all lawyers from Kenya, from Uganda, from Tanzania trooped to Dar es Salaam. And all medical doctors from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Uganda trooped to Mulago. And all the engineers and the veterinary doctors trooped to Nairobi. That is the generation I envy. They knew each other at an age where they were still innocent. You know, I always remind my colleagues and remind myself, any new friend I get today is a strategic friend. There's something he wants from me, and there's something I want to get from him or her. Indeed, we lost that opportunity. But each region has its own history and drivers of the. And now, the demise of the 77 Constitution was very acrimonious. Borders between Tanganyika and Tanzania and Kenya were closed. And the English have a saying, misfortunes come in droves. The following year, the United Republic of Tanzania was attacked by a crazy dictator and compelled to go to war, where this country spent $5 million single-handedly. And at the same time, it had the responsibility of assisting other African countries. Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Namibia, Angola, and even Zambia, which was landlocked. But still, to Mwalimu Nyerere, even after the demise, the acrimonious demise of in 1977 of the East African community, for him, he continued to tell us, the East African integration is not a matter of choice, is a necessity. So I have recounted all that to tell you we are dealing with a project which is a necessity for our own survival. Let us not forget, when we converged again, there was a lot of mistrust. You know, a broken marriage comes with a lot of scars, a lot of question marks. And most so, when most of the dated bedroom details have been put to the public. But again, it was the prodding, and I'm saying so because it is also 20 years of remembrance of Mwalimu Nyerere. Again, it was the prodding of Mwalimu, especially to William VII and President Mwinyi and President Moi, that it is time again we come together. And this is why we started with the tripartite commission, which gave birth to the current East African Community, which is people-centered, and the private sector. So something is missing there. The private sector, you are selfish. You should have said people-centered and the private. Yes. Because you are driving towards the welfare of the East Africans. And having studied in the Federal Republic of Germany, I'm an advocate of the social market economy. And I was expecting my good German friend to tell us about the social market economy and not the free market economy. That is what has made Germany to be Germany, Sweden to be Sweden, Denmark to be Denmark, Norway to be Norway. It's where the market also caters for the social interest of that society. This is why they have insurance, even for unemployed. Arbeitslos. It's right. They have. Because it is a social market economy. It's a market economy, but sensitive to the social imperatives of the society. So as it was in the past, it is also now. Our community must be private sector driven, but a community, a people-centered community. If we lose that focus of people-centered community, this community won't be sustainable. And this is why I agree with Amos Wako in their report on the Federation. They say there are two types of integration: trade-centered integration and the development-centered integration. For us, for the next, again, another 20 years, should be a development-centered integration, which means we are not relegating trade, not at all. And if you want to be a development-centered integration, the private sector is very important, because you want to build industries, infrastructure. I and the Honorable President of the East African Court of Justice served in 2 commissions, in 2 teams appointed by the Summit on the East African Federation. And we had a lot of debate and a lot of discussion, very open, very frank. And we reminded each other. Indeed, we have the 4 freedoms in the East African Common Market Protocol. But in order for these freedoms to be realizable, we need also to develop the following: infrastructure. Because you cannot talk about free movement of goods if you don't have good roads and railway. Another friend of mine is there. Together. We're discussing the East African Common Protocol. Infrastructure. In Europe today, infrastructure is not an issue because it is there. The Bundesbahn. Here, we still have the obligation of building modern railways in order to make freedom of goods effective and realizable, but also cost effective. Otherwise, the goods will be expensive, because also transportation the cost is high. Free movement of people, we discussed. We were discussing about free movement of mamambogas, not of skilled workers, which means what? We need to create skilled labor in our countries. Invest in science and technology and innovation. In Europe, it's no longer an issue. For us here, it's an issue. How much do we invest in research and development in science, technology, and investment? Free movement of services. How do you move a tourist in Zanzibar and in 1 hour he's arriving at Kigali, and the next day he's in Uganda, and the day after he's in Mombasa? In Europe, it's no longer an issue. Which means what? Our integration, as much as must follow all the freedoms and principles, needs to anchor itself in the realities of East Africa. And what has made this community to survive the 20 years? And actually, let me tell you, the first 10 years, there was a lot of anxiety because the other community collapsed at 10 years. And they were saying, God, save us from this bad omen. Yeah. And there was a big celebration at the stadium. And I'm sure for the young people, they were surprised why these old people of the age of Kivenjinja, they are so happy that it is 10 years. It is 10 years. It's because we are past the 10 years which cast us in the first integration. We are now even more elated that it is 20 years. But do you know how we achieved those 20 years? Because of pragmatism and gradualism. Pragmatism and gradualism. And there are many who criticize that because they are looking at the treaty and the protocol and they want speed. But once bitten, twice shy. So that pragmatism and gradualism has made us to survive to our 20th anniversary. We should not regret of our speed. Instead, we should applaud the wisdom of those who brought. But now it is time, when you reflect on the way forward, to reflect on the way forward which will make all East African countries to be part of this community. When we were negotiating the East African Common Market Protocol, my friend is here, when Tanzania came with the concept of East African industries, which again will be allocated to a specific country, people say that is socialism. No. And I'll say openly, at that time we were saying, you cannot have a member of the community like Burundi selling nothing to the community and then say, we are together. Together when they are selling nothing. Make them sell something. That is what Europe did to Greece, to Portugal, to Spain. There won't be a modern Spain, a modern Portugal, a modern Greece without the sacrifice of Germans pumping money and investment. I'm saying the truth or I'm lying, sir? Yes. Solidarity. So as we reflect on the future, let us see how the other countries in East Africa which have less industries, the private sector, you have a responsibility not only of waiting for conducive environment, but for you going there and creating a conducive environment. That is what Bismarck said. That is what Bismarck, Otto von Bismarck said. You don't wait until the iron is hot in order to hit it. Make it hot and then hit it. You know, I've said all that because the president told me just to say, I wish you all the best. Congratulate the East African Business Council on this keynote milestone, and wish you a fruitful deliberations during these 2 days. And now, it is.
Thank you so much. You may take your seat, Honorable Kabudi, as we officially launch the East Africa Business and Investment Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, our work has begun. It has been cut out. There you have it. Round of applause as we begin these important deliberations. Uganda, Burundi, and South Sudan, kindly make your way up to the stage. We'd like to commemorate this occasion with a photo. It is also an accountability measure, so anyone who is in that photo, we will hold accountable for the same. We need such an engagement. Now,